Hello YouTube. This short video will talk about customizing your P&L statement and the categories in case you want to have any different categories. Here on my screen I have a sample P&L statement just using some sample data. And here in the small business version for the Excel checkbook, I just have, again, some sample data in this first register. Many of the entries are for a pretend apartment rental versus an online tutoring business. So I have sample transactions that are related to advertising and marketing, legal, repairs, rent collection, utilities, etc. And as you go to work with this small business edition and you visit the settings tab, you might find that you would prefer perhaps some different category types, different categories. And you can absolutely change the list of category options without any difficulty. However, if you do want to change category types, there definitely are some caveats to that. First caveat is that I would urge you not to change the category type of income and expense. If you do, you will then suddenly have difficulties with both the reports and the dashboard, as those are tied to pivot tables that are explicitly looking for filter options of income and expense. However, I can understand if you might want to change the wording of capital purchase or cost of goods. So we'll look at how you can make those changes and then update the P&L statement so that it continues to function. So over here in the P&L statement, currently we do have these subheadings for income, expense, taxes, cost of goods, and then there's also the separate table here for capital purchase. All right, now these are connected to Excel pivot tables. So when you click your cursor into any of these cells, probably the pivot table fields will display. If it doesn't, then you can visit the pivot table analyze menu choice and then just toggle this field list button on or off as needed. And when your mouse is inside of the pivot table, you'll notice that here beside type, there's a little indicator that there is a filter on type. And so if I click on that, then I see this little pop-up window where currently this pivot table is only showing transactions that are under income, expense, taxes, cost of goods. So as a sake of example, let's say that I'm not really a fan of the labeling of cost of goods nor of capital purchase, and I'd like to change those. So if we go over to the settings worksheet and visit the table for categories, I'll go ahead and make some changes so you can see what the end result will be. Now for the sake of time, I paused the video so that I could just go ahead and make a couple changes. So I've changed capital purchase to depreciation item, and I changed cost of goods to inventory costs. And it is important that you are then consistent with whatever category types labels that you've done. So now when I go visit the P&L, and if I refresh the data, I'm going to find that suddenly some things disappear. The cost of goods disappeared, the capital purchases disappeared. So here's how we have to fix that then. So if I click my cursor back in this pivot table and I visit the filter button beside type, I'll find that I do now have my new items here. I'm going to uncheck cost of goods, and I'm going to check on my new label of inventory cost, and that will now add that to the list. However, it is important to note that for net profit, we do need to adjust this formula because here, for example, at the end, it was trying to originally subtract the cost of goods in order to arrive at net profit. So since I've now changed that to be inventory costs, I'm just going to click up here in the formula and change cost of goods to be inventory cost and hit enter. Okay, so that has corrected my formula. Now over here in the other pivot table for capital purchase, I do need to click on this bar so that I get the pivot table. And again, I'm going to scroll down to the type here, click, and since we no longer having this called capital purchase, but instead depreciation item, I'll check mark that, and now we've got that showing up. And now since we did not make a change to the category types of income and expense, the dashboard and reports are okay, but we were able to change our wording for depreciation costs and inventory costs. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing.